Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. We cover a lot of ground, including Table A Talk with Gary Kent, Point of Order with the NSPS Joint Government Affairs Team, Future Focus, highlighting current and future leaders of the profession, and everything survey-related in between. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast, and hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Surveyor Says. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. This is your host, Tim Burch. We're actually back in the studio. We've been on the road on and off. We'll continue to be on and off. So if you see me on the road, stop me. Let's have a conversation. We can talk about everything surveying. However, today's conversation, I got to tell you, I've been looking forward to this conversation, and I know I say that every week because I meet a lot of great people, and this one is no exception. I came across this lady. We were at the recent 2024 NSPS student competition, and one of our exhibitors was the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And this lady, first time I'd met her, but you know what? I feel like we've been buddies for a long time. This is the type of personality that we need in the profession. So let me introduce Natalie Martinez-Vega. And I always get my Spanish pronunciations wrong. So hopefully that was close. That was all okay? Okay, good. Natalie is a surveyor with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I will let her jump into what she does because bottom line is she's part of the Army Geospatial Center, and she's in the training side. And, you know, that's something I will say I got to be honest with you, Natalie. It's somewhat unique to our profession. I say that because we've pushed so much into one-man crews and one-man robotics, one-man GPS, GNSS, that there isn't a lot of training going on there. I'll be honest with you. So to hear that the Army Corps and through your Geospatial Center, you're actually one of the people that go around and train on the equipment is fantastic. So we'll get into that in just a second. So anyway, Miss Natalie, how did you find surveying? Where in the world did surveying come across your radar? So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Tim. I went to University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez campus. My dad actually built houses, so that's how I kind of start thinking about. I apply actually to the college to do a civil engineer, so that way I can help my dad doing the plans for the building the houses and remodelation. So that kind of help away. And then my second year, I got survey, my first survey class, which I fell in love because it was a mix between going to the field and collect information and then going to the office and processing that data. So that kind of catch my eye. I talk with a few of my professors about civil engineer, and most of them, they were happy what they were doing, but they say most of the time you spend it on the office part of it. So that kind of feel a little turned down on the profession. So I kind of went to have some courage and change my degree from civil engineer to a bachelor in land survey and topography. That's what my university offer. So I complete my bachelor in college in UPRM. At the same time, I took a year and I went to a technical college to do construction drafting because that was a passion that I do have. And I worked for civil engineers for the last 2 years before I complete my degree and have that experience of drafting for a civil engineer. I have an opportunity the last semester to apply for the internship with ERDEC. They support engineering and other professions and careers to make that transition between college and full workforce. There is one guy that was in the interview. I didn't get a slot, actually, to sitting down with this team in ERDEC. So my director and civil engineer say, hey, they're coming very early at 7 in the morning. If you might want to show up and give your resume, they have the time, talk to you, and they will do. If not, you try next year, apply for the master. I was like, well, I have nothing to lose. I wake up that way and that day very early. I was at college at 6 in the morning waiting for these guys to show up.
Nice.
With my resume in hand. It's like, and actually they came at 6:30 and show up, and I say, hey, my name is Natalie. This is my resume. I don't have a slot. I didn't know about this opportunity until pretty much yesterday. And they say, well, if you have 10 minutes, you have 10 minutes to tell me who you are and make your case. And I took those 10 minutes very, very scared, actually, because these two guys only speak English. This is my first time trying to talk to somebody fully conversational in English, even though my classes, most of my professors talk English, but having a conversation is totally different. That took a huge courage just there, be brave. And I went through that interview with them for 10 minutes. Next day they called me for a second interview, and I got this slot. The only slot actually for tech at that time, it was Technical Engineer Center. That's before AGC in Alexandria, Virginia.
Right. Wow. Well, and I guess part of also what I would like to talk about, because also shout out to University of Puerto Rico. Let's see, there's a quite vibrant instructor down there, little Miss Evie.
Evie de la Rosa.
Yes, Miss Evie. And I tell you what, between her passion and what that school has turned out, I'm blown away by the number of solid graduates that have come out of there, that have come to the States, and have just made quite a name for themselves. Obviously, the biggest one we know here locally is Ramon Labrador, the assistant surveyor in D.C., but throughout Florida. I mean, that college just turns out a great surveyor. And so shout out to Evie and the program down there. That Evie, you sent out another one. We've got another one sitting across the table from me here. So this is fantastic. And I guess part of it, I'm just curious, because I think there's a lot of misnomers about, Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States.
It is.
And while you said your classes were somewhat in English,
most of them.
but that's still a challenge for a lot. Because obviously, I would Spanish speaking is the primary language.
It is.
So being bilingual is a big deal to have that ability to be bilingual, especially coming into this career.
Yeah. So most of our professors actually are out of the United States. So they're from India, there's from Russia. So we have a plethora of different cultures coming into El Colegio to teach. And that actually pushed us to develop and build us to be bilingual. All the books are in English. That's another thing. Or survey books are actually the survey books that you're finding here in the States. So you've been forced one way or another to learn and to practice. The hard part of it is the conversational piece of it, because you speak Spanish the whole life, even in college. But when you have these opportunities, then you have to slowly bring all that knowledge, bring that all that information, and do it in English. So
sure. I'm going to pause this just for a second. I'm going to pull this pop back. I'm going to go ahead and tip this up. Just have you speak a little. It's coming in and out just a little bit.
Okay.
You're fine. But it's coming through good. We're good. Nope, all good. All right, so you come to DC. You come up here to a job. Tell our listeners. I mean, how did you develop into this position of really getting into the technical side and the training side of the profession? Because it's not an easy thing to just jump into and say, "Yep, I'm now a proficient and I'm an expert in this, using this equipment." I mean, that's a daunting task. So, how did you come down that path and decide this is the role you wanted to fill, especially within the Army Corps?
So the same person that held my interview was actually the director of the branch of System and Acquisition in Tech agency. He is a Puerto Rican as well, even though he didn't mention that in the interview. He provided me with that platform, and then he attached me to this land surveyor on the building, the only one, Brian Shannon, who it was a very interesting experience. Brian was a very lonely person in the building, always in his office, looking forward to projects and what's not. He was a land surveyor and a civil engineer as well, both professional, and he was a genius as a hydrograph person at his career, even though he was great in land survey. So he actually pushed me to go to projects. The first project that we got together, we got all brand new, I remember, Leica systems. And we went to this magnet project. So Seattle District actually hired Brian to start a baseline to monitor one of the abutments. It's a huge mountain next to the dam that kind of fell off piece of it, the mountain down, and create some tension in the dam. So they want to monitor that dam. So we went there for 2 weeks. We put monumentation, so drilling in the rock, mixing concrete, then doing traverse, and then scanning the whole mountain was a very interesting. The interesting fact about that is we had to take climbing classes to get this project done. And we have rescue with us in some part of the mountain because it was very hilly and very dangerous in some part of it. And we have to collect that information. So we actually have a guy from rescue with us for those days that we were in that side of the mountain collecting. So that was very interesting, very scary. Once again, having someone to say, I'm going to take care of you and we're going to do this together helps a lot along the way.
Well, exactly. Well, that was going to be one of my follow-up questions. Early in your career, throughout, and then getting into a lot of the training and things you're doing within the training center. That's one thing I mentioned earlier about we're going to more one-man crews and various things. We've fallen off this opportunities for mentoring, and so I guess what in your experience, how important has that been that you've had people that you've been able to rely on, people that have been there to help train you, to help show you the way, to help, like you said, to help guide you where you're wanting to go?
I'll definitely not be here. I don't know where we've been with my mentors and supervisors. They saw something in me that at that time I never thought about it. I will tell you that. Making a good impression, working hard helps you as well. You attract people the same way you think, I was always said. And if you have that opportunities, that embracing what you are and pulling yourself, showing up on time, showing up on jobs, always saying yes, even though you're not sure, and say, I'm here, whatever happens, happens, it helps. Once again, he saw something in me that I never thought about it, and he helped me all the way through it, building and creating opportunities for me to actually continue to pursue to what I am right now. He make challenges in that way as well, because one thing that I am deeply grateful was he was very patient with me. I have a hard time connecting with people and talking, especially because I wasn't confident to talk. It's because I translate constantly to speak. So having that time, having that patience totally helps and build what I am right now.
Well, I tell you what, you've got me fooled on having lack of confidence, because, like I said, from the time I met you, it's like this lady's the real deal, and I appreciate you coming in and being, and honestly being raw and frank with your situation, because it isn't easy. I can't imagine being bilingual. I mean, having to force to be able to do that, and one thing I do want to touch on, because it is surveying is predominantly a white male profession. I hate to ask, but is there been additional challenges? Because let's be honest, you don't look like me. You don't look like our fellow professionals, even though you're probably more capable than most of us. But how has it been, and how has the reception been for a young woman to come into the profession, especially in a highly technical position? Because that's the one thing that still blows me away, is the amount of technical expertise you have and you bring to the profession.
Once again, having mentors around yourself, surround yourself with good people, surround yourself with, even though I've been blessed, key people in your life actually make the path easier. I would not lie. I would not be here if my actually supervisor didn't push me to be unique in some ways. He not just pushed me to do unique projects that shows and provide me with experience in some different survey tasks that many others may not even think about it. It's been a challenge, absolutely. When they see me, they don't think I'm capable of it. I'm very, very thin, very skinny. So, the people look at me down, like she cannot do that for the whole day.
Right.
But I have those challenges. Some of the district opened the doors for me and actually request to support some of the missions or projects. So once again, saying yes, even though you're not sure, helps a lot. But proving yourself to others it's fundamental. One of those projects that I actually make myself very unique, I had the opportunity to be the GIS analyst for Arlington National Cemetery when they have the big boom that they have problems in Congress because they didn't know about what the interments were and how to locate them. So actually when they Congress requests Arlington National Cemetery to build a GIS database, I was involved in the QA/QC piece of it. So I reviewed the interments, official documents, and what the GIS contractor collect on the field, and I was checking all those records. That not only gave me an opportunity to touch another piece of survey, in the GIS piece of it, but provide me with knowledge with how things are being required and collected for that database, and provide me to later on, a few years later, to be the SME as the cemeteries for the Corps, to open a pilot project with American Battle Mission, American Battle Monument Commission, that is actually an umbrella like Arlington National Cemetery, but they
Sure.
are in charge of 27 cemeteries around the world.
Oh, wow.
So replicating what Arlington National have opens the door to do a pilot project from AGC to collect Normandy Cemetery as our crown jewel there.
Oh, my.
So I had the opportunity to go there and collect GPS on every single headstone, do photograph of every single headstone to build that database, and do very similar with Arlington National Cemetery. Same thing happens in Panama. We own this land, so in these cemetery countries, we do have cemeteries that are owned by United States that we are trying to replicate that GIS database that Arlington National Cemetery have. And if I didn't have that knowledge and that experience before with Arlington, it would not be the person. And maybe it wasn't part of that team which I lead to collect. So that is another experience, very unique, the what I did. And once again, it's been because I'm a go-toer. My bosses build these opportunities for me to expose myself. Another experience that I can tell you and project that built me slowly to get where I am right now is the emergency response we did a few years ago for the Hurricane Maria and Irma in Puerto Rico. Once again, I was calling for GIS support for the FEMA side of it. And I ended up not just be the GIS person to do map, but be the translator because I was from Puerto Rico. Then being the liaison between government agency in Puerto Rico and FEMA personnel to do decisions and to send support and aid to families. That was I believe that was one of the hardest project. I would not say project, but the hardest support that I did in my life. It's I was there for 2 months. It is heartbreaking when you have no idea how your parents and families are for the first 3 weeks, working 16 hours a day, making sure people have water and food. Around Puerto Rico, communications were down, so we were dealing with that as well. And all these many agencies that come because everybody pretty much from United States show up at least for a week to support this magna disaster event, and they still continue to struggle right now after the event. So you can imagine how bad was right after. My name once again was highlighted. I received a humanitarian award after that by the Corps. That was very nice. But going home to help and support, it is just a calling. You have to give back. They build me up. There is no way I can turn my back around and say no to them. Another opportunity that I have to prove myself and make myself unique, and people know my name. My supervisors assigned me to be the person to processing NOAA's co-op water level information. So the Corps was trying to expand that datum from the Chesapeake Bay all the way to Richmond Lock. And my boss says, you're the one going to do all this. So you're going to spend the next 2 years in Silver Spring, Maryland to processing, configure everything that the contractor is going to be collecting. You're the person who's going to be processing that data. So I'm actually one person in the Corps that actually been trained and from NOAA COPS to do this processing of water levels data. That built up, I continue to reach other levels. I was assigned to Brown Hall, that is actually the schoolhouse for the 12 Tango. That's the MOS that I support in the Army.
Okay, yeah.
Those are the technical engineers. I start going to their classes to audit them in survey because they want to move from just knowing the hardware and know how to push the buttons outside and collect data, that why they're doing that. So I was trying to make the new modernization of their studies. So I went there for a few classes and audited all the survey classes for them. Then I was assigned or asked to do the same thing for the warden officers, to go and help them with the survey, not help them, but provide some input on the classes. That builds up. We went years after that and established control monumentation in 2 other schoolhouses, one in Brown Hall, Missouri, and the other one in RTI, which is in North Dakota. So we monumented 5 benchmarks in there next to the buildings, and we matched that with GIS databases. So we blue book in 5 controls in each schoolhouse to bring that name of being the schoolhouse. So the first thing when you walk out, it's not a nail in the stake, it's actually a benchmark on the ground that you can actually see a reference in the NGS.
Nice. Well, and I guess that's one thing that we always have common through all surveyors, at least everyone I've ever met, is there's something about benchmarks. There's just something about them that my wife's always yelling at me, you need to quit, you need to look up, quit looking down where you watch where you're going. Nope. I'm looking for benchmarks. I'm always looking for benchmarks. And so most surveyors I know. So yeah, to hear that. And see, I knew just having this conversation with you was going to be, like I said, what I thought I knew about you was fantastic. And then to hear all of these other things, you probably hear this, hopefully you hear this enough, but yeah, you're quite amazing, Natalie. It's amazing all the stuff you've done, you've accomplished. And you're still so early in your career. That's just what blows me away is that everything that you're having these opportunities to do. And for those listeners that weren't paying attention, yes, she's heavily into GIS. Guess what? Surveyors use GIS, whether you like it or not. It's going to be, and it's going to stay, and going to be even more a bigger role within surveying. So just to have the opportunity that you've had with Arlington and Normandy and the other cemeteries, wow, that's incredible. And and I know there's a lot of families out there that thank you for what you've done in memorializing where their loved ones are at. Well, I'm trying to be respectful of your time because you're a busy lady. I guess a couple wrap-up things, really just to kind of, I like to always ask, where does the future of surveying look to you? And I'm not going to put words in your mouth and say that it's pretty darn good, but holy cow, what do you think? Where's surveying going? Everybody wants to kind of bury us that we're going to be a going away profession because engineers or other people will do it. What do you think where we're going to be?
I think we're going to evolve. Technology is absolutely Right now, it's just insane. We have new gear popping every week, probably that we have 10 years ago. That we were waiting for the latest, total station, and we were waiting for the latest GPS to collect many constellations, and now we have LiDAR that we can collect in insane amount of short time of period of time. So we need to continue to evolve. Skill sets. We are going to learn new skill sets in this new path that we have to go through. Stay relevant, I will say, is the biggest thing. Currently, I'm involved with the Women Summer Survey Summit. That's coming up in August 1 to 4, Pittsburgh, PA.
Pittsburgh.
I'll be one of the presenters.
Very good.
I'll be presenting high-profile projects.
Nice.
So evolving, learning how to keep up with technology is going to be the biggest one. Experience is, I believe that's another one that we have in problems is building. I've been lucky that most of these opportunities, it's been because people know my name. But creating those opportunities are hard. It's not an easy path, but saying yes, looking for those opportunities, looking to expand your network. You're nothing if you don't have a network behind you. You need to start talking to people, start to developing your name, and people start asking for you.
Right.
Like it's happening for me right now that I slowly been built in my experience. Never been in construction, I will tell you. Never been in construction, but I will tell you from some beautiful projects that I've been part of it to now be the person to be the instructor for the whole National Guard, but I forgot to mention there how I get that piece of it. After all, going to all these classes and supporting the schoolhouses, commanders, and leadership, so an opportunity. Remember, you have to build sometimes your own opportunities as well. Right. So if you have these relationships with these people, with these commanders, with these peers, my AGC, actually, PD Cities, product director of Common Terrain Information Systems, hold the program of record for Total Station, ASI, what's what we call it, GPS, and Empire. So we have the platform to purchase, we have the acquisition, the training, and the sustainment of those projects. So it's in my branch that we purchase this gear and field them and then train them. My branch is not big. We are pretty much like 18 people, and there is only 3 instructors that can support this program, but I've been the one selected to actually open the doors and travel to these units, National Guard, to train them how to utilize the new systems, how to set up correctly, how to do their processing correctly, and understand what they are collecting. Because most of the National Guard, they volunteer once a month. So they are not, most of them, they are not surveyors. So they maybe touch this gear once a year and once every 3-5 years.
Right.
So going to the units and providing not just with the training piece of it, we built up 2 applications in AGC, in PD Cities, to support Leave Behind when my training finished. So these 2 applications is the survey set. It is step-by-step how to set up your system, your S7s or your total station, and your GPS. In this case, it's the R12i that we are utilizing, and how to collect, how to build the survey styles. And then the next application that we built that I was the lead on is TVC, how to processing that data, collecting from the field, and then how to design a path in a road because those are the missions for the National Guard. So we work very closely with the schoolhouse to get the critical tasks from them while they teach and what they have to cover in the class to this application be able to cover those same critical tasks as well. So we don't deviate. I would say it's custom for the tangos, but anybody can use them actually. And that has been, I believe, the biggest technology for improvement that we have in the National Guard, in the survey realm, in the Army for it. So I'm very happy to be part of that team that work hard to get all those steps, all that scheme, what we're going to touch, and how we're going to break those information, make it easy to people to understand it.
Well, very good. I guess the one final wrap-up I have, just hearing your enthusiasm and hearing all of the opportunities you've had. The surveying profession has always, it's been predominantly in the private sector, and I don't think it's been as publicized as much throughout history. How much our government agencies are relying on surveyors these days, and especially in this case, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It does sound like you would recommend that somebody that wants to get into an exciting, challenging career to consider the Army Corps. That this might be a great path for someone to set out their own career and set out their own destiny with all the things that they set out to, all the challenges that are within the profession.
Absolutely. The Corps, once again, like Max said, we have, how many districts?
45.
We have 45 districts. Some of them have their own survey team inside, others contracting it out. But for those that have the survey teams out, you can experience these opportunities. You don't have to stay in one district and kind of go to the same thing all over again. You can move around district, learn, and continue to expand that knowledge and build onto it, like I've been doing for the past few years. So the Corps is an amazing agency to work for. Not just it's a public one, because we go back and we help out and provide this amazing support for the public, but it gives you so many opportunities to go and improve yourself. If you don't like anything that you're doing in that, you can always request to do a development assignment to something else different. So you will always looking to catch up or build new skill sets for yourself. So going through the Corps, it's in a very unique, I would say, opportunity to try so many things, not only survey related, but so many other things that if you don't like, you just find something else. You will get something that is your calling. And when you find that calling, I don't think you will go in left. You're not going anywhere. You will continue to succeed in that calling, which has been happening to me.
Well, I continue to hear the exciting projects that the Corps are doing throughout all of these districts, and I think, to me, just the challenges. If I was young and getting into the profession, this is definitely a path that I would consider, simply because that you're embracing the technology. It sounds like you're doing projects that are just out of this world. In a lot of different places, and a lot of opportunities out there. So, Natalie, I can't tell you again, thank you for coming in and spending some time with us. I do have a request. Not that I will understand it, but do you have any kind of message you want to send out to your fellow Puerto Ricans and other Spanish surveyors, that just some words of encouragement?
Sure, why not? Once again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm the one honored to expose my journey in the past 14, 15 years that I've been since college, working with the Corps, working with other agencies. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And para aquellos que me escuchan, gracias por escuchar este podcast, sobre todo a la Escuela de Puerto Rico, Mayagüez Campus, director Pagán, gracias a ustedes por darme esa educación. Una de las cosas que posiblemente quiero que tengan en consideración es: crean en ti, utilicen todas sus oportunidades, digan mucho que sí, no tengan miedo a decir que sí a oportunidades nuevas. Ustedes tienen una educación que compite con cualquiera otra universidad aquí en Estados Unidos. So, crean en ustedes su educación, hagan amistades, hablen mucho con otras agencias, hablen mucho con otros trabajadores, porque sin conexiones o sin gente que no sepa tu nombre no se puede avanzar. Pero ustedes tienen el conocimiento, so, ustedes saben lo que son y lo que dan. Crean siempre en ustedes. Y ese será mi consejo para ustedes. Gracias por escucharme. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm going to speak for the rest of the profession. We're proud to have you among us. That keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, I know enough of your superiors. They're very proud of everything that you do and all that you've accomplished and what you continue to do. So, I'm hoping we can check back in a little bit and just hear about more what exciting things that you're doing. And I don't know, maybe we'll delve into that Spanish-speaking podcast sooner rather than later. Thank you for providing those. I didn't hear Loco Gringos, so I think we're okay. I think we're okay. So, well, anyway, Natalie, thank you again. Well, that'll do it for this week on Surveyor Says. Wherever you listen to this podcast, hit that like button. Please subscribe. I guess one final shout out, Women's Survey Summit coming up in Pittsburgh, first week of August. I don't think you can sign up at this point. I think they're maxed out. You're going to hear a wonderful lady give a great presentation, and amongst other things. So we wish them well up there in Pittsburgh, and safe travels there. So, like I said, wherever you listen, hit that subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. You've been listening to the Surveyor Says podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, and we are here to help. Visit our website, nspс.us.com, to learn more about our association, the programs we administer and support, our sustaining members, and information about future episodes of Surveyor Says. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.